Hola, hola, ¿cómo están? Muy buenas noches. Y hoy tenemos un programa súper especial de la Hora de las Diosas con Katinka y Marion de la Goddess Conference, las organizadoras de la Conferencia de la Diosa en Glastonbury, y le vamos a preguntar de todo para que puedan participar, porque bueno, este año, desde el año pasado, la conferencia es virtual, así que todos se pueden sumar. Voy a hacerle las preguntas, la conversación va a ser en inglés, pero después ustedes tienen ya mismo la opción de usar los subtítulos con la traducción. Hello, Katinka and Marion.
Hi, Sandra.
Gracias, Sandra. Wonderful
Gracias
to hear you in your own language, babes.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
It's lovely on the ear. We love it.
Yeah, and we understand quite a few things.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so well, it's really amazing that we can talk in the distance, and we can share the Goddess Conference, the online Goddess Conference. So it's really, really great. But there is a lot of people that they don't know about what is the Goddess Conference. So les estoy preguntando, ¿qué es la Conferencia de la Diosa? What is the Goddess Conference?
Well, the Goddess Conference is a annual gathering here in Glastonbury, and we are in our 26th year. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's something that's been going on for a long time.
Sorry.
Sorry, that's on my side. They're warning me.
Yeah, you are recorded. Well, that's the idea, isn't it?
Yes.
So we've been going on for 26 years, and it's really a gathering of goddess loving and goddess curious people.
Yes, we are very much part of an annual Lammas event. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, Lammas, which is the harvest time, the time of abundance, the time of celebration. Very much part of the ancestral flow of the Wheel of the Year, and based in the Celtic traditions and then in the Avalonian lineage, really, of the mysteries of this amazing place. And as you rightly said, Sandra, for the last 2 years, we have gone online, kind of forced by the global pandemic situation. But actually, the gifts of that is that people who can't come, because we are a very international event, people literally come from all over the world who want to find out about Goddess or want to celebrate her, already knowing her. The Divine Feminine has so many different forms and different names and different faces all over the world. And this awakening of consciousness around her, not just God the Father somewhere on a cloud, but an earth-based, in the body, in the land, in all of nature, goddess of many faces. She is, as you always say, Marion, the one in the many. And so in the Goddess Conference, we celebrate that aspect of her in different forms every year. It's really an international gathering to come and be inspired, to come and celebrate, to come and be with people who also have this longing for the returning of her. Oh, it's just wonderful.
It is wonderful, and it's great that we have actually, like you said, we've been online, because there's also a lot of people who can't come for other reasons, not the pandemic, but before that. And we had a very good feedback last year that a lot of people who were never always watched us online and on Facebook and things, social media, but just could not come for financial or physical or any other reasons, like childcare, and they could now join in. So that is, it's a real great gift that we have received.
Yes, and that we like to give. I mean, the Goddess Conference, since this is now our, 5th year?
Yeah.
5th year since taking over the organization, the leadership, the responsibility of the conference, and the visioning of that journey. We really want to give. So we are creating this outreach program, which we call the Durga ticket, which is really worldwide for women who are already or people, actually, not just women, but it tends to be mainly women in the Durga program, who are interested in Goddess already or have a connection to her, who would love to come or join in or watch, but can't, specifically for financial reasons, actually, or because they're in countries like Malawi, or they belong to an ethnical group that just doesn't have access to computers, like in Australia, the indigenous group of women, or refugee women in the UK. And so we are reaching out as conference to people. It's not a missionary program, please.
No.
We
No.
do not like this.
No.
No, it's people who want to, who have an interest, who would, as Marion said, love to be a part, but could never come anyway. It doesn't matter where in the world they are, they just can't. And it's always around financial possibility, really. Yeah. So we want that exchange, that, and the online community for that, we really are hoping to grow and to nurture and to expand so that it can be that. And for that, we of course need people to actually come as well, who can buy a ticket, you know.
Yeah.
That is really great, amazing. And I want to ask you about the themes or the topics of each year conference. So how do you do the choice of each goddess? Why and what?
Well, I don't think actually it's a choice. It's actually, she comes through in a certain way, and we dream in how that then gets given shape. But yeah, when we took over, we really wanted to bring that international feel first. So we went into the world goddesses, and that was just amazing. It was we actually learned a lot about goddesses we never heard names of. And then we went into a cycle of 5, because the Goddess Conference have always been cycles, sometimes 4, sometimes 8, sometimes 9. And we have a cycle of 5 where we work with the 5 archetypes.
Yes. So like Marion said, we were at the end of a 9-year cycle going around the wheel, which was the vision of Kathy Jones, around the Avalonian wheel, with the theme each year according to those segments of her wheel. And we ended in that center, the Avalon year. And so then what do you do next? You know, it's like, okay, you've gone in, what do you do? You know, as people just taking off. So the only thing to do was to go out as wide as possible, which is exactly what we did. And it was so great. We were so colorful, and it was so wonderful. So many different goddesses from everywhere. Sally Pullinger, who is this amazing elder priestess of the goddess movement here in Glastonbury, and she is just this fantastic, phenomenal channel for goddess. She works as a medium, and she is a musician. She's a rock chick, really. And she makes this amazing, she made this amazing soundtrack for that year, the World Goddesses year, with 1,001 names of the goddesses from all. Oh, it's magic.
Yeah,
it's magic.
Listening to that track is what I said. It's like, wow, you know, whoever can say there's no goddess, listen to this track, because there have always been goddesses, and they have always been named
everywhere.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Wow. So then from that, our vision was, okay, we want a 5-year cycle working with the 5 directions, the 5 sacred elements, and the 5 main archetypes, and we want to link them to make new mythology, new forms of goddess coming through in art, in song, in ceremony, in embodiment, linked in to very ancient goddesses, because in goddess ways, actually nothing is new. She just changes everything she touches, and something in a new form may arise, but really this then has resonances and congruence all over the place. And that's the exciting bit of creating. So like Marion said, we start off with an idea, and then she comes in and shows us, you thought you knew something, but there's this much more, you know.
Yeah, that's really great, because now I'm writing a new book, and I am talking about the archetypes. And we used to work, or you know, in the Jungian psychology, analysts used to work only with the Greek gods and goddesses, but it's really poor.
Yeah, there's
Because
much
we
more.
have many, many mythologies, and also the ancient mythologies, the goddess mythology is very sad and very cruel, because the stories we can access are patriarchal.
Yes,
So
and
Yeah.
and distorted.
And this is one
yeah,
of the things that we do as well. It's like we actually take mythology and then really think, okay, how does that work for us now? How do we interact with it? And we write new mythology, not to change what was before. It's not about that. It's really about, okay, how do we relate to that, and how does that work in our lives now, and how do we give that shape and form?
And how does it come through within that 5-year cycle of working with archetypes and elemental aspects of goddess
yeah,
in perhaps a new way, not so stuck in a particular form, more let's open it out a little bit. And so then the mythology, which is really wisdom lore, mythology is wisdom lore. Alistair Campbell says this about mythology. It's also the wild edge of truth. If you're in challenging time, you go to mythology because it's symbolic language. It
yes,
triggers the imagination. Our goddess, all like you're saying, all our goddess stories, our goddess mythologies are written down by the conquerors of goddess cultures, which were all oral
Patriarchal,
traditions. They
yeah.
were not written down. And so it is actually our job, if you like, or certainly our privilege as goddess people in this now, to rewrite the stories or to untwist the distortion to find the gem of the mythology in there, the wisdom lore in there. And for us, they are initiation stories. So in this cycle of 5, we are working with initiation ceremony for a part of our psyche, a part of ourselves, and a part of goddess that we have found this connection, this way into. So do you want to speak about the 5 cycle?
Yeah, so we started with the maiden. We started with the moon maiden. So you talked about the elements, but the elements also have like a celestial body. So we have the moon maiden, which is the water, and then we had so we went into the mythology of the moon maidens all over the world, and we embodied some of
the 13 moon maidens.
The 30 moon maidens, and we had young people coming in to have that energy of the moon, of the maiden as well. That was really spectacular.
And we worked with the initiation of the wild youth for the people who identify as male and or masculine, and the wild maiden for those who identify as female or feminine.
And the monarchy ceremonies.
Yes, it was a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, very beautiful. And then the next year was very spectacular, like very fiery, because it was Sun Lover. So it was really fiery, and it was such an up energy, and really we had the lions and the lion gate, and again we worked with mythology with that, and but also it was the lover initiation that year. So every year we have the archetype is the initiation focused on the archetype, but we work a lot also with the elements. So we worked a lot with the moon, and then we worked a lot with the sun.
And we really went to the ancient goddesses, particularly actually of some of the European and Slavic lands that were sun goddesses. The moon was a god, and they were lovers, and they met at certain times. So we worked with that thread of how does that work within us, because it's always a mirror, right, of what is on the inside.
Very much.
And then we went to the sun goddesses of Africa, and I have some amazing friends. This fantastic African priestess of the Zulu people, and she is part of our ceremonial presenters actually this year as well. Again, Gogo Nomzi, and her and the other women from South Africa brought in this extraordinary connection to goddesses I didn't know about, solar goddesses and the lions. And then you find in the Anatolian goddesses this lion gate, the feline throne of the goddesses, who are really this gateway of polarity, masculine and feminine lions, but you step through that gateway of polarity or binary differences into the presence of goddess, who, yes, she is goddess, but she's also beyond all that kind of division, really.
Okay.
And so we had these massive lion puppets, and it was so good.
It was really such a celebration. It was, and I think this is the thing with the Goddess Conference, and I speak from my own experience as well, is that it's really like nothing else. You know as well, Sandra. You've been, and I can't think of anything else that is like that, because we have the celebration, we have the depth, we have the initiation, we have this, you know, the working with the wounding of the archetype. So there's so many layers, and then there's arts and music, and yeah, and it's
and her coming through always these insights and this deepening into the mythology, into her medicine of love. Always the magic happens and then resonates in your lives. And so then there is the connection to the land. So it's very much Avalon based. It's based on the sacred landscape. We are in this theater of sacred landscape here, you know. And then, of course, for the Earth Mother year, which was the third of our progressional cycle, we were going to be on the land a lot, and instead
outside.
COVID happened, and all we were was online.
Inside, online.
Which is a classic example of how goddess will come up to you and say, oh, you think you know how it's going to be, and actually it's not like that. It's much bigger than that. I am global. You were saying you're working with the continental plate mothers. That's who you are embodying. That's who you want me to be and manifest as. Well, let's show you what global means.
Yes,
I mean, it is extraordinary.
Yes, and this year is the air.
No, so this year is the star. So we're having the stellar guiding, the cosmic picture, the cosmic bigger picture, and then the queen archetype. And she age-wise really sits between the mother archetype and the crone. You know, we live longer now than our ancestors did, where the average lifespan was 40 years. And we have this whole segment of our life which really corresponds to the menopausal age of women. But we're not dead and gone, you know. We have actually a lot of wisdom, and we are very much part of what does our life force actually want to be in service to, and what are the gifts that we are receiving from our journey in our life. And this also for men is the same. This is a time in our lives that's really difficult, with midlife crisis, it's called in our Western societies. But actually what it is this opportunity to step into spiritual development, making life not just about the physicalities of whatever, money, jobs, material things, but what is the spiritual journey in this? You know, so that's very much what this queen archetype, which was pioneered for me personally, actually by Donna Hennes, who is again one of our wonderful elders of the goddess movement and presenters in this year conference. Also, other people have woven this archetype to make us aware, to make us remember, like, you know, the queen of heaven and earth is one of the great ancient names of the goddess, actually quite universally within different cultures on the world, on the planet. And we've forgotten that because we associate queen or king with monarchy, with empire, with colonialism, with all sorts of nasty horribleness.
Yeah. So it's really great. And next year?
Next year we're going even further out. We're going into other worlds. So the next year we have the crone and the other world crone.
Wow.
So the great mystery, really, and the crone.
Yeah, and also I think it's a place that is very much part of our spiritual heritage, but it's not very often worked with in the goddess tradition, and especially when you work with the Celtic. I work a lot with Bridget, and she really has called me more and more into the other world. And here in Avalon, as you know, we constantly have this other world beyond the veils, beyond the mist, that is there, and that we energetically work with. So we thought, let's bring that in, and whatever she will bring in, because this is the thing. And when we work with all these archetypes, it has a complete reflection on ourselves. So we as the ceremonial group, we work through the whole year, and it has really the all the parts of what we work with. It has an effect on our life, on our personal life, on our daily life, not just when we meet, but there are things to work through, things to see. Yeah, it's
usually things to really initiate through. There's usually amazing gifts, but also really
challenges.
Challenges in that you have to face parts of yourself that are trapped in wounding behavior and that don't want to grow up and that rule us, actually, and sometimes they're unconscious. So working with framing archetypes and elemental aspects of goddess in a particular form gives you a new lens of reality, so that you can look at yourself, the world, the way you behave, not because it's the truth. I mean, in goddess tradition, if it's healthy, there is no the truth. There are so many different ways.
The truth, and if it was a truth, it would always change.
Yes, precisely. So it is really more about, oh, this is an interesting way. Oh, this is an exploration. I use the word game quite often, not to kind of belittle, but to say, just lighten up. Don't take yourself so incredibly serious, and I'm talking to myself then often,
Yes, and it's amazing because all the stories of the archetypes we know, they come from literature, so and the poetry, and so what we are creating now is a living poetry, a living literature, and it's really amazing because for Greek people, the gods and goddesses were the truth, but they didn't do that. They really, that is not the truth. That is completely schematic, and goddess is the opposite of that.
So, absolutely. And Hellenistic Greek that we know the mythologies of were already a very patriarchic society. Yeah. So we're really rewinding back beyond that in our, like you're saying, in our finding of archetypes, because what patriarchy does is it segmentates everything. That's probably not a word, segmentates, but I like it as a word. I claim it. Anyway, it makes the great goddess, separates, as she's saying, into, well, she's now the goddess of death, or the goddess of life, or she is the maiden, the wild one, or she is the lover, or she is the war queen, or she is the whatever, she's the great mother, always pregnant, always birthing. So actually, if you go back further, if you bring that thread right back beyond, she is all of those things. She is the great faceted jewel, but she's also the light that shines through that jewel and makes all these multitudes of forms of light and shape and dark and shadow dance. So I think for us as goddess people, it is so fascinating finding a goddess that we particularly resonate with, working with her wheel again and again and again, which you work a lot with Bridget. I work with Rhiannon. We both work with the goddesses of Avalon because we're both also priestesses of Avalon. You work with Anna, I think I'm right in saying. And it's like, and then her wheel shows you, this is not just a 2D picture. This is multi-dimensional.
And working with it, I think it has to be experiential, because working with it is not just what we find out with our brain or with reading a bit more of this and finding out a bit more of that, but it's also how do we experience her, and what happens to us when we work with her, and how does she come through us, and that's in our personal work and in the conference. So I think this path what we're on is very experiential. You really have to feel and be with what is coming through.
And the exciting thing of the conference is that we get to do it all together for 6 days, for a week. We turn the town into Goddess Town, and the whole of the town is her temple. And it's like being back in one of those great Greek temples where everybody was there for the celebration of whoever it was, the meter or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And everybody was on that wave, like, and it is so wonderful to experience that. It's highly addictive.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And then we create a great temple for that week of the conference. We create, and actually with the online work, we've actually now created twice, because we created to prepare and film everything, and then we created in the conference week as well. But to create that temple, it really changes something, you know, when we normally are in the town hall, which is a normal town hall, like you have in every town and city. But then when people come in, it's just the energy is so amazing, and so it's goddess, you know, it's beauty, it's joy, it's love, it's care. There's everything in there.
It's all in adoration. It's sacred, and it is beauty, not necessarily always pretty, but it's beauty in that vibration. And so we are creating these, the way we're working in this 5-year cycle is that this year we're creating the Star Goddess Temple, as if, and in the astral, this is always there. And then for 1 week, we manifest that temple. Last year, the Earth Goddess Temple, the year before that, the Sun Goddess Temple. And then you happen to arrive as pilgrim in that great temple. Wow, at this time we're celebrating her aspect of queen. So you're in the Star Goddess Temple of Avalon, and you've arrived for the great celebration at this time of the queen. Oh, and what is that like? What is the tribal aspect connecting to the Celtic ancestors? You know, what is that like? And it's really exciting to be not so restrained by the stories and the narrative written down by patriarchic cultures about goddess, but to go back into what would life have been like if this was actually all the time, and how do we bring that vibration in for that 1 week, you know?
And then it really resonates for a long time after as well. So people, it's not like we want to learn people, we're not missionary or anything. We don't want to convince people, but actually the experience works through in your life, and it has been done in ours as well.
Oh, totally.
And as you know, everybody who has been. So that's, I think, is also part of our gifting as the conference, is that we want to give the experience to the people who come
to the best of all of our ability. And that means challenging ourselves with learning new things that we are really not that comfortable with at times, and working to well beyond the point of exhaustion, and trusting, because, you know, we are doing this entirely on trust. Financially, there is like, at the moment we're paying for it. So we would love people to buy some tickets and support us in that way. But also there's really,
it's an exchange, really.
It is an exchange. And there's really this, so we really work all year, and they're like waves, you know, rolling waves. And the next one is already starting. So by this time, the next year has already started to begin to be visioned and woven. And so, and then when the conference ends, the wave still, you know, ripples on. So it's like we are in this constant flow of her, which is an amazing gift and really a privilege to be in that. And it is also really a stretch.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
And it's also a challenge to transmit the energies in the online conference. But in my experience last year, it was amazing. I could feel that. And I couldn't believe that because in the ceremonies, in the night of the embodiment, it was really, really magic. I was crying and feeling her presence, and it was really amazing. And you do an amazing job. I know
Thank
there
you.
are many people working on
Yes,
the tech.
many people.
I think that's the thing, Sarah. We have some amazing teams of people. We have fabulous, what we call pillar holders, because we are really creating the conference to be overlapping circles of equals. We want to work very much with the luminary wheel that Marion has trained in, the training by Lynn Sedgmore about circle leadership. We want to be not a kind of pyramid structure. We want to really work. And so people are involved all year long as well. And all of us are gifting. It's not a job that's kind of like paid, it's like our offering, our service to Goddess. And then we have these amazing people who just step in, whether they are Melissas, priestesses, ceremonialists, tech teams. I mean, it is just extraordinary.
And then we have organizers on the side as well, like we have somebody who holds the market with all goddess craft and art, so supporting all artists who work in the goddess world, and healers as well, so goddess healers who also all work in that same energy. But everybody has different gifts. So some people like to be give a presentation. Some people like to be doing a ceremony. Some people really are the artist, or they are the musicians. So
Or the healers.
So there's so many ways that this goddess comes through, and then it all comes together and becomes one whole.
And also very practical things like admin or marketing, or social media. All these, we have, like you're saying, a fantastic team of pillar holders who hold these different circles with us. And it couldn't work any other way. It's too much. It's too much for two humans, to do.
Yeah, and we have also got a circle. We have the ceremonial group, but also the directional priestesses every year. And especially, I must say, with the online work, they have done such an amazing work already. So
and it's funny because for years we were saying, how can we create places of empowerment? How can we create places for people to step in? And then Goddess comes along and says, this way, in a completely different way,
I know, it's amazing. And well, how people can book in the conference, and the different tickets. What is the online ticket, and how can they book to participate?
So we're going to do it differently to last year, because we are also in person. We are doing both. Basically, we thought we'd do a bit more.
Yes, we don't do enough. Yeah, so we have the online conference runs at the same time as we are coming together here in Glastonbury, and so we have everything is pre-recorded except for one live Zoom workshop with Donna Hennis, who is, like Katinka said, she's kind of the founder of the whole queen archetype. She wrote, I think, as far as I know, she was the first who wrote about it, but maybe the others. But
the Queen of Myself, her book.
Yeah, fabulous book.
Yes, definitely. But so the talks and the workshops and the ceremonies are all pre-recorded, but they are interactive. So the workshops are still, people can interact with what people offer on screen, and also the talks are the same as the ones that we listen to in the in-person conference.
So basically what we thought was that we would give 6 days, not 3 or 4, like 6 full days of conference that will run consecutively, with us holding the 6 days in person here. So we're energetically completely linked and interwoven. There will be live streams of various things on the Facebook page, but the actual conference is through a ticket into something. Now, I'm sorry, I don't know. Is it a YouTube thing? Is it a website?
No,
I don't know.
It's a website. It's a website, and it's like you go into an educational website, but this is then a conference website.
So for ticket holders only. And there will be some group space that is held there by directional priestesses occasionally on a Zoom thing. But really what this gives the flexibility of is any time zone, any availability of time that you have, you are in. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You don't have to. Last year we had some feedback from people in Japan who said, well, it's all great. It's starting at
2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I have to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we thought, okay, we can actually do this differently, and make it more accessible. And then because we've well realized that people will probably not want to spend 6 full days in front of their screen, take your holiday to still sit in front of a computer after we all having to work on the computer all the time. So
yes, we thought about first, we thought, okay, last year we had the whole month of August that people can watch everything that we offered. And now we have actually brought it out to October. So it's the conference days, the whole of August, the whole of September, and the whole of October.
Wow.
So you really have, you can plan when are you going to watch when are you going, maybe, come together and watch it. And so it's really, we're offering this.
Or redo a workshop. So you have a whole program of presentations in the morning, a whole program of workshops every afternoon, and then ceremonial evenings. Not all of those will be available for the whole 3 months. Okay, you have to kind of be there for the 3 days to have those ceremonial experiences, but 1 or 2 of those ceremonies will be online in that 3 months program as well. Excuse me, I need to turn something on. I thought it was on and it's not. Sorry.
The power. So it's really for people to give more time, because it's a lot. We know, and we have so many presentations. So it's really much better to be able to spread that out a little bit. And also, the ceremonies, especially the opening and the closing ceremony, they will be in the conference week. So, and I think there will be the directional priestesses who probably can't come here to Glastonbury, and they will hold space as well.
So then we have this thing of, there is an initiation journey, and then there is a heart of the mysteries, which this year we're trying something completely new, and we're going to not say anything about it, but it is super exciting. And
yeah, it's groundbreaking.
Yeah, totally new again,
Yeah.
Wow.
So we are very, very excited to be sharing this with people and to see how that lands. And so we will have an in-person conference, and everybody who comes to the in-person conference will be watching the morning recordings, so that the presenters who cannot come, because a lot of our presenters are international and they can't come.
Yeah.
And they are amazing. I want to listen to them. So we will be listening together to the recordings of the presentations, plus 1 or 2 little things that are, local, in person.
Yeah.
So we will be tuning in to everybody online. We will be having that same experience. And you'll be carried into the energy of the ceremonies that will, of course, be in person, in the program online as well. And everybody who comes, which we are thinking is probably only going to be people who actually live in the United Kingdom, with all the travel restrictions still, we think. I mean, we hope Europe.
Yeah.
We hope European people can come, but who knows? Anyway, they will also get that online ticket, so that they have all the workshops of people who are obviously not going to be in person. There are plenty of workshops in person because there are people who can be here. And that, like Marion said, that opportunity to just take it in bits, and not when it may actually be sunny here, because, the UK is
only sunny in the summer.
Crap weather most of the time, even in the summer. So, you're not going to want to be spending your time of sunshine in front of a screen. So you take it into the autumn. So it's an amazing bargain.
Yeah, I did actually just realize that for the Southern Hemisphere, it's winter. So it will be a different experience, actually.
Yes, but I mean, Imbolc and Lammas on opposite sides of the wheel, they're both these great places of creation happening.
So you bring the summer here. We will be in winter. So
for you it's great. You can have
yes.
days in front of the screen.
Yes.
Get all your friends, darling.
Yes.
Wine, cake,
It's amazing. And I think you did for this year online conference, you record more in outdoors, isn't it?
Yeah, we have, like Marion was saying, we have already created the great star goddess temple here in Avalon. And we've done some filming of ceremonies, and then that's only the beginning. Then there's all the creation process, of course. But so there's, this year we are doing more pre-recorded simply because that gives people the opportunity to come in who can't come in person from all over the place. And so we will, and Zoom, it works okay, but it is also a complete headache for the people who are the tech team. And if anything happens and the signal fails, which in Avalon it often does, then you are having problems, you know. So we wanted to have less problems.
As well, and as we said, you know, we have the conference at the same time, so they would almost have a complete second team to do the same work as we do it. So
we don't have the people.
No, we don't have the people.
And also we wanted to really link energetically so that we are all in the container of the pilgrimage that the Goddess Conference is.
That's great. So well, I'm so excited. I can't wait to watch the conference. And I'm sad because I cannot be there in person. I was planning that, but I have to suspend it. But well, I hope next year. Yeah. So well, I'm thank you for this beautiful interview. So we invite the people to join this year Goddess Conference.
Yes, and come and listen to your presentation as well. It's so exciting. Yeah.
Yes,
and we will go out on the land as well. There are some ceremonies that will show you the landscape here. So for people who don't know about Avalon, you know, they will get an experience through the online program.
It's incredible, amazing. So well, I want to. Well, I'm going to do a last words in Spanish.
Yes, of course.
Ahora, bueno, ya estamos terminando la entrevista, entonces las quiero comprometer a que vuelvan, a que las vuelva a entrevistar en breve, porque además de la conferencia de la diosa, hay noticias acerca de un nuevo templo, el templo de Avalon. What I'm saying that I want to invite you again to interview you and other priestesses involved in the new temple of Avalon in Glastonbury.
Yes. Great. Oh, thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you.
It's so nice to see you as well.
Yeah, wonderful.
So I think, well, in some days more, I don't know, we have to arrange the times and dates, but well, for now, we hope all the people that is watching this video, please join the Goddess Conference, because it's unforgettable. It's an experience for your life. It's it's something you have to do before die.
Yeah.
On the bucket list.
and probably more time. So
more than once.
Come now.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we are hooked. This is our I don't know, 21st or 23rd or whatever it is this time. Yeah, we're well hooked.
Mine is like 15 or 16.
Yeah, long time.
Wow. So thank you, and well, we'll see you in some days more for the new interview, and all together in the next Goddess Conference, in the Star Queen Goddess Conference. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra.
Gracias a todos.
Darling.
Y el próximo viernes nos vemos otra vez en la hora de las diosas con un tema sorpresa, como siempre. Les mando un beso grande. Gracias y hasta la próxima.